Blood drips from wooden stakes as far as the eye can see. 20,000 corpses pierce the morning sky. The Ottoman army freezes in absolute terror. Their target sits calmly in his castle, sipping wine, watching his masterpiece. This isn't some Hollywood fantasy. This is 1462, and you're looking at the most psychologically brutal military strategy in human history. The man responsible? Vlad III of Wallachia, better known as Vlad the Impaler. But here's what Netflix got wrong about this legendary figure. Picture Eastern Europe as the ultimate geopolitical battleground. The Ottoman Empire, think ancient Turkey on steroids, is steamrolling through the Balkans like a medieval Death Star. Christian kingdoms are falling faster than dominoes. Standing in their way? A thin strip of mountainous territory called Wallachia, ruled by a prince who makes modern dictators look like choir boys. But Vlad isn't just some bloodthirsty maniac. He's fighting the most powerful empire on earth with maybe 30,000 soldiers against their 150,000. It's David versus Goliath, except David has serious anger management issues and an engineering degree in human suffering. The question isn't whether Vlad was a monster, it's whether his monstrous tactics actually worked. And the answer will completely change how you see medieval warfare. Drop a comment right now. Are you team whatever it takes to survive, or team some lines shouldn't be crossed? Because by the end of this video, that answer might flip completely. 1448. Vlad is barely 17, and he's already died twice, politically speaking. The Ottomans killed his father. Hungarian allies murdered his older brother. He's been bounced around as a political hostage since childhood, learning Turkish, studying Islamic law, watching his captors skin enemies alive. Think of it like this. Imagine you're a teenager whose family keeps getting murdered by your neighbors, and those same neighbors raise you, teaching you their business methods. That's psychological warfare before it even has a name. But here's the plot twist historians love to ignore. Vlad wasn't naturally sadistic. Ottoman records show he was quiet, studious, even diplomatic during his captivity. The monster was manufactured, because what the Ottomans accidentally created wasn't just another enemy prince. They created someone who understood their greatest weakness, and he was about to exploit it in ways that would haunt their empire for centuries. 1456, Vlad finally claims his throne for good, and immediately faces an impossible equation. The Ottomans demand tribute, essentially protection money. Pay up and your people starve. Refuse, and they invade with overwhelming force. Modern politicians call this a no-win scenario. Vlad calls it Tuesday. His first move? He invites the Ottoman tribute collectors to a feast. Standard diplomatic protocol, right? Wrong. What happens at that dinner party will redefine the entire concept of psychological warfare. But first we need to understand the one skill Vlad learned in captivity that made him unstoppable. The skill? Reading people like open books. In the Ottoman court, survival meant understanding who held real power, who was bluffing, who could be manipulated. Vlad became a human lie detector with a PhD in political psychology. So when those Ottoman collectors sit down for dinner, Vlad doesn't just kill them. That's amateur hour. Instead, he studies each man's face as he describes in vivid detail exactly how he's going to execute them. He watches their micro-expressions, their breathing patterns, their breaking points. Then he follows through. But here's the genius part. He lets one collector escape. That survivor races back to Constantinople with a very specific message. This isn't just another rebellious prince. This is something else entirely. Because Vlad just solved an ancient military problem that had puzzled strategists for centuries. How do you make an empire afraid of you when they have 10 times your manpower? The answer isn't bigger armies or better weapons. It's making the very thought of fighting you so psychologically terrifying that armies defeat themselves. But Vlad is just getting started. Guess what his next target is? Hint? It's not who you think. And the method is so brutal that Ottoman historians, people who regularly write about mass executions, refuse to record the details. 1459, Sultan Mehmed II, the guy who conquered Constantinople, decides to handle the Vlad problem personally. He sends his most elite regiment across the Danube River with orders to bring back Vlad's head. Here's where history gets so dark that most documentaries skip the details. Vlad doesn't just defeat this elite regiment, he turns them into a message. Picture this. You're an Ottoman scout riding through Wallachian forests. The trees gradually give way to something else. Wooden stakes, hundreds of them, then thousands, each one topped with a human body in various stages of decay. But wait, it gets worse. These aren't random executions. Vlad has arranged them in perfect military formation, rank and file, just like they would have stood in battle, except now they're a permanent, rotting testament to what happens when you cross the Prince of Wallachia. The psychological impact is immediate and catastrophic. Word spreads through the Ottoman ranks faster than medieval Twitter. But the real genius of Vlad's strategy hasn't even been revealed yet. Ron's 1462, Mehmed himself leads 150,000 soldiers into Wallachia. This is the Sultan who conquered the Byzantine Empire, who crushed Hungarian armies, who made European kings tremble. He's expecting another standard siege. Instead, he finds 20,000 impaled bodies arranged in a perfect semicircle around the capital city. The stench is unbearable. The sight breaks hardened warriors. But the message is crystal clear. This is what happens to invaders in my territory. Think about this from a modern perspective. This is psychological warfare, so advanced it wouldn't look out of place in a CIA manual. Vlad has essentially turned human bodies into a weapon of mass destruction. But here's the question that historians still debate. Did it actually work? The answer is both yes and no. And that's what makes this story so fascinating. Short term? Absolutely. Mehmed's army retreats within weeks. The Ottoman advance into Europe stalls for decades. Vlad saves Christian Europe through pure, calculated terror. Long term? Vlad gets assassinated by his own allies who decide he's too dangerous to keep around. But his legacy survives. The Ottoman Empire never fully conquers the Balkans. Romania eventually emerges as an independent nation. All because one man understood that sometimes the most effective weapon isn't steel, it's fear itself. Sound familiar? Modern psychological warfare, propaganda campaigns, even social media manipulation. They're all variations on Vlad's core insight: control the narrative, control the outcome. If you want more stories about historical figures who are way more complex than your textbooks claimed, hit that subscribe button. Because next week we're diving into the real story behind Joan of Arc. And trust me, the French government has been lying to you about what actually happened at her trial. Drop a comment. After everything you've learned, was Vlad a hero who saved Europe, or a monster who went too far? Are you team necessary evil, or team absolute monster?